Hi everybody, this is Carol here with Asperger's versus Neurotypicals, and today I am sharing some notes that I've been taking on mitochondria function for both my own and for anyone who cares to listen. I will be coming back to this to listen to my terrible voice and review these notes, because these are points that I don't want to forget, that I want to review every year and reaffirm my intention to build strong mitochondria. So today I'm talking about strong mitochondria and what we can do. Now, one of the people I want to give credit to is Dr. Lee No, who wrote a book on mitochondria, and he was on YouTube and was interviewed, and his comments led me to do my own research on mitochondria and list based around his recommendations for what we can do to make our mitochondria strong. And then I added my own 2 cents worth from what I understand from other research. So I would like to go through these 17 tips, and then after I got to the 17th tip, I came up with a huge revelation, because there was 2 other research papers that I put together with this guy's opinion to come up with why you need greens in order for your mitochondria to work, why you need both greens and full spectrum sunlight. And I'll be explaining that at the very end. But it's just a biochemical fun fact that you need both greens and sunlight. So why don't we start with the first tip on what we can do to make our mitochondria strong. But wait, you ask, what is a mitochondria? It sounds kind of familiar. Well, in 8th grade biology, I don't know about you, but my funny biology teacher, and funny, I mean he made everyone kind of laugh a lot, he taught us about mitochondria. That's how he said it. And while I can't say I remember exactly what mitochondria did back then, I do know what they do now. And I'm sure the research has been improved. But they make ATP, and in case you didn't know this, mitochondria are primordial bacteria that symbiotically evolved with multicellular organisms. And mammals is one subset of those multicellular organisms, and all mammals have mitochondria in every single cell of their body. And they really are their own individual person. I mean, each mitochondria has a personality, and they probably have pets, and they run around with a mom and a dad and a baby. No, but these mitochondria do have a life of their own, and they need proper food and water. They need proper care. And I have been, since I've been doing this research on mitochondria, don't laugh, but I have been sending wishes of love and gratitude to my mitochondria. And I've also been sending wishes of love and gratitude to all my bacteria in my gut, because these societies that live within our bodies are ours, our beloveds, just like we belong to the beloved, powerful being that rules us all. And so I'm just really happy to know about these things, because now I can send prayers of happiness to my own, cohabitants in my body that make me up. So the first thing we can do to make our mitochondria have happy lives is to not overeat. Why, you ask? But I like to overeat, especially on Thanksgiving. Well, if you consider these as guests in your body, you wouldn't want to burden them with all the extra work of you overeating, because when you overeat, your mitochondria have to expend huge amounts of extra energy that they're not used to doing, to send out, batteries and batteries of energy to clean up the mess. Because when you overeat, you have a lot of leftover food, a lot of undigested food, or extra food to digest that you don't need. And did you know that if you eat too much food, that is, if you eat more food than you actually are going to burn off, that the chain of chemical reactions in your mitochondria gets crashed, and so you have a train crash, in this terms of these chemical reactions that take place sequentially, and one of those steps gets crashed, like stopped because of a toxin, and then all the trains behind it crash into it, and it's just a terrible situation. So you don't want to do that to your poor darling mitochondria now, do you? Because they have a right to be happy too, right? Just like you have a right to be happy. So you don't want to overeat, because that puts all the excess wastage on them. Now, if you want to make your mitochondria very happy, you would want to shorten your feeding window. What that means is don't eat every hour all the way from morning till night. Try to restrict when you eat to 8 or 9 hours in the day. Now, this is the optimum amount of time. Some people go 12 hours of eating and 12 hours of not eating. That means water only. And if you can do 8 hours of eating and 16 hours of not eating and only have water, whoa, you will run the fastest marathon you've ever run, if you're a marathon runner. It seems to really help with energy production on the following day if you allow your mitochondria to get the sleep they need. That was the second one, shorten your feeding window. Third, to help your mitochondria be happy, don't work out excessively. Now, you want to move a lot and walk a lot, do gardening and cook and, do your chores and everything, your craft. But what you don't want to do is sit at a computer all day and never move. And you also don't want to, do an intense workout every single day of the week. Maybe 2 days a week, so that you allow your body, you're pampering your mitochondria. If they're going to give you a workout, like for a long 2 hours, 3-hour workout, and your muscles are all torn and you're going to build new muscle and you drink all your protein and all that, you don't want to go back and work out the next day. You want to give a good 2 or 3 days rest. And so that your whole muscle fibers can rebuild and your mitochondria can just keep cranking out energy at a, respectable pace, but not a taxing pace. And then everything will work better. Number 4, help your mitochondria by don't let yourself get too stressed. I know you're laughing, but here's the thing. It's good to know these things so that you'll be more motivated to lower stress in your life. A lot of people laugh it off and they do nothing to try to reduce stress, but if you knew how important it was, I think you would be like me and take some action to get rid of stress in your life. Why would you need to avoid stress? How could this possibly affect your mitochondria? Well, if you avoid stressors, what you really are doing is you're avoiding the driving up of cortisol in your blood, and also you're avoiding the driving up of blood sugar levels in your blood. Both cortisol and blood sugar levels increase when you're in fight or flight. So if you can prevent going into fight or flight, which is really preventing stress, that's what we mean by stress, prevent that from happening, especially 10 times a day. You don't even want it to happen once a day, maybe once a week. Keep it down to once a week, and you will go a long way towards making your mitochondria work their best and most efficiently. Let me say one more thing about going into fight or flight. Whatever you need to do, for example, if you're around a psychopath, whether it's a boss or a spouse or a neighbor, you might consider taking action to change your life so that you're not in the vicinity of that psychopath. You need to be able to chill most of the time, and you also can learn to chill by doing meditation, EEG biofeedback, working out, walking meditation, chanting. I'm sure there's millions of ways that you can train your mind. Alpha training, for example, train your mind to chill. But if you are around a war-torn area or psychopaths or anything like that, or just a really stressful job, there may be no hope of you giving your mitochondria the best life. nor will your own life be good, because you'll just be in constant stress. So if you can do anything to get out of the situation, that would be a really good choice. That was number 4. Moving on to number 5, treat your mitochondria like your beloved and give them proper food, proper sunshine, rest and relaxation, sleep, respect, on and on. Just treat your mitochondria as your own children. For example, you wouldn't want to dump blue dye into your stomach and force the liver and all the liver's mitochondria to crank out tons of ATP energy to detox all that blue dye, would you? Blue dye happens to be very toxic, and it requires a lot of energy and a lot of metabolites, a lot of energy and metabolism steps to clean it out. So the liver's mitochondria would be cursing you if you did that. So be respectful and don't eat blue popsicles. And that was an example. Okay, number 6, along the same lines, avoid toxins, avoid pharmaceutical drugs. All of these are toxins that require energy, they require low entropy moieties to go in there, react, and get rid of toxins. That takes energy. And where do you get your energy? Your mitochondria has to make it. It makes it from the fuel that it gets through what you eat and the sunlight around you. Some of that will come up in a minute. But number 7 is your sleep cycle. Do not disrupt your sleep cycle. Keep a constant sleep cycle and sleep plenty of hours, because if you don't get all 5 cycles in, you won't be able to replenish your brain, clean up the beta amyloid plaque, lay down your memories. All of those cycles are needed every single night. It affects your energy production drastically if you miss even 2 hours of sleep. So make that your highest priority. Don't push or force your mitochondria to stay up late. That's cruel to your mitochondria, because if you force them to stay up late, then the following day you'll get over inundated with the toxic load of waste that those mitochondria were not able to clean up. And that'll just be in your body. That waste that would have gotten cleaned up makes you inflamed. So that's why when people don't get enough sleep, the next day they look kind of puffy and bloated. They're filled with toxins because their mitochondria didn't have enough time to clean up. So so just think about it as if you want to party and block all the trash pickup services from your neighborhood, and you're going to party for a whole month, you're going to have a whole lot of trash sitting out in your driveway, and that's going to make it smell bad, And that's kind of what you're doing when you stay up late. You're preventing your mitochondria from cleaning up all the toxins that have built up. I probably said that 3 or 4 times in different ways. But again, this is a tape I'm making for myself so that I'll remember these points. Now, number 8. Get out of toxic relationships. It has a huge impact on our health, on our inner switches, on turning on this DNA and turning off this DNA, on making this protein or not making that protein. That's the DNA regulation part. It has huge effects on that. And so we want to get out of those. Let's see. We need to get the right food, the right exercise, the right meditation, the right sleep, the right stress, the right food. I'm just summarizing. And continuing here, we have number 9, and that is your food. If you give your body familiar, pure food, it can acclimate. So you want to, if you're going to be like, say, mostly vegan, then, have respect for your body, and if you're going to change your diet, do it slowly so that everything can acclimate. So you wouldn't just all of a sudden give it a terrible meal of pizza when you haven't eaten dairy in 10 years. Not only will it mess up your gut biome, but it will make your mitochondria be filled with toxins and have to work overtime. And how do your mitochondria, how do they feel when you eat good, healthy food? They feel really good. And the most important food you can eat is greens if you want to help your mitochondria. Mitochondria love the green chlorophyll in all green vegetables and fruits. And this is the most concentrated in your kales, your collards, your dark green leafy vegetables. And if you can eat a lot of greens, the part of the green that's the chlorophyll gets taken in by the mitochondria, and it may be the whole molecule of chlorophyll, and it may be pieces that come from digestion, but it's some color component. The part that absorbs red and infrared is in the mitochondria, so that when you place yourself in pure spectrum morning or evening sunlight, which are relatively high in red, then that will activate these chlorophyll moieties that are in the mitochondria. It will help the mitochondria not only go through a phase of photosynthesis and produce ATP directly from the sunlight, but it also helps regenerate CoQ10 in the cells. And a lot of people take tons of CoQ10 as they get older, but if you're regenerating your CoQ10, then you don't need to spend expensive dollars, or at least not as much dollars, on CoQ10 supplements, because you're regenerating your own CoQ10 in your mitochondria by providing it with greens. And if you combine the green light absorbing molecule, it reflects green, so it looks green, and it absorbs red, and it's called chlorophyll, and it's in all plants. And if you eat a green plant, you'll get the chlorophyll in your body, which will be taken to your mitochondria where it stays, and then it will be able to absorb this red and infrared light and then pass it along the chemical reaction chain to help produce the ATP. And this produces a huge amount of ATP. If you don't have any sunlight or greens to do this, you will be able to produce a lot less ATP per mitochondria. So you want to do what I said, and that is eat the right food, eat greens. And that was number 9. Number 10 is number 11, drink lots of clean water. That helps the mitochondria. Number 12, get a lot of sun, including UV. UV can make vitamin D. Parts of the vitamin D step occur in the mitochondria. And we also know that the red and the infrared in the sun help react with the chlorophyll in the mitochondria to make ATP, energy for you. Number 13, get enough fiber. But it turns out that the gut bacteria communicate with the mitochondria kind of like a long-lost sister. So they do communicate, and apparently when the gut has the fiber it needs and it has a very happy microbiome, then I don't know, it's just the mitochondria pick up on the vibe of the gut bacteria and they're happy too, okay? Number 14, love well, because when you love, it makes a whole cascade of happiness in your body that make the mitochondria thrive. Number 15, intermittent fasting. This also gives the mitochondria periods of rest, and this could be daily, such as eating in an 8 or 9 hour window, as I mentioned, or it could be one full day a week where you don't eat, or it could be one period every year where you spend 1 month not eating. It can be done in many ways, but consult your doctor first. Now, in terms of not overeating and eating within a 9 hour window, the key behind both of these is to not have a snack before bed. Now, you may think you don't want to go to bed hungry, but here's the thing. Your mitochondria don't appreciate having to digest food when you lay down to go to sleep. See, that's their off time. That's when they get to clean up and take showers and, put their kids to bed and, you know what I'm saying. That's when your mitochondria do their cleanup work. But if you put food in your stomach and then you go to bed, all of a sudden they have to crank out energy to digest that food. Your consciousness may not feel it, but they do, and it makes them tired the next day. And so you just won't feel as good the next day because you won't be getting as much energy as you would have if you hadn't eaten that candy bar before bed, or whatever it is you eat before bed. So I'm not saying don't eat before bed. No, I'm not telling you what to do. Just telling you what the mitochondria told me to tell you. Okay? You can decide what to do. Maybe you can bargain with your mitochondria and maybe they'll let you eat late one night a week. Or at least you could give them a break one night a week and don't eat that midnight snack. Start with one night a week not eating midnight snack. See how that feels. Let's see. Calorie restriction is part of that. Again, the less calories you have, the less work the mitochondria have to do to digest it. So you want to eat highly dense, nutrient-dense food with lots of fiber and lots of nutrients and no empty carbs. Next, that was number 15, intermittent fasting, no late night snack, and calorie restriction. Number 16 is called earthing. What that means is that you always, or whenever you can, walk barefoot on the earth. And barefoot on a cement patio is pretty good too. That allows you to ground to the earth. And this is a whole talk in and of itself, but it boosts the mitochondria. So I'm going to throw that in there. And then 17, take your supplements, CoQ10. But as I said, if you eat your greens and you get sunshine, which are 2 of the other tips, then you won't have to take your CoQ10 because the sunshine and the greens act together in the mitochondria to activate the chlorophyll with the red and infrared, and then that helps make ATP energy for you. So that was my list of 17 tips. Okay, I told you I had a eureka, and the eureka was about the greens and the sunlight. So this Dr. Leno didn't mention the greens or the sunlight, but I found that out in some other talks, and I put 2 and 2 together, and I found out this is really good for your mitochondria. Like Dr. John Kruse teaches, oh, you need a lot of sunlight for your mitochondria, and other people teach, oh, you need red and infrared. And nobody ever said, yeah, but you got to have greens too, or your mitochondria won't be able to absorb the red and the infrared. So eat your greens. Or you could just take a whole bunch of CoQ10, and then you wouldn't have to go out in the sun or eat your greens. But I don't know. I just feel like I want to save money, you know? So I don't want to buy that CoQ10. Plus, it's just made by some yeast. Who's this yeast? I mean, how do I know the yeast is a good yeast? You know what I'm saying? Why not just do what you're supposed to do? Go out in the sun and eat your greens. Because when you try to bypass nature, it doesn't always work. Okay, I'm off my soapbox, but let's see. I always try to have a natural remedy, you know, like rather than pharmaceuticals or something like that. The brain connects to the heart on the level of the mitochondria. Now, isn't that fascinating? If you strengthen the heart via exercise, you not only improve your blood flow by having a stronger heart, but you make more mitochondria in both your heart and your brain. That is fascinating. And this is apparently backed up by some strong scientific research. And this is why exercise is the most important mitochondria energy production booster that you can do. But not too much exercise. If you do work out super hard, you need to let your body rest and repair. I know that Wi-Fi and cell phones have an effect on mitochondria. I read that in another paper, in many other papers actually. Like because 5G, 4G, 3G, 2G, and 1G, and all the G's in between, and cell phones of every type and color, and electromagnetic fields from computers, blah, blah, blah. All these things produce unhealthy, unnatural electromagnetic fields around your brain and body, and they affect every cell activity, including the mitochondria. And you know, it changes the way your brain takes calcium in and out, and on and on. So your mitochondria would prefer it if you didn't hold your cell phone up close to your head at the very least. Chlorophyll in greens have more anti-inflammatory than aspirin. Kale consumers live longer. If I eat greens, I'm filled with chlorophyll. I can produce cellular energy as sun hits my chlorophyll inside my mitochondria. And light-activated chlorophyll in my body may help regenerate CoQ10. It does, in fact, and it has been shown. And here's a picture of it regenerating CoQ10 right there.
Okay, study that.
Well, hopefully I will edit it properly. And peace. Breathe. Relax your face muscles. Inhale. Hold. Relax your face muscles and exhale. Hold out and give thanks for everything that makes you alive. Inhale. Have a beautiful day.